Hi, this is Jeff. Here's a little video tour of the wood shop. Give you an idea. I've been in the house 3 years, and when I moved in, this room you're looking at right here, the wood room, was the original workshop area. The rest was family room and other stuff. But I kind of got interested in woodworking, so the wood room, which was the workshop, got too small pretty quick. Here's the new shop. Some of you saw the posting on the bowling lane counter. I finished pretty recently. It was there. This wall, it's kind of the first wall you see, pretty much. Still getting built out. It's got the cleat system on it, and as inspiration comes around, I'll put more things on it. I've got a few things done, but long ways to go. Got the saw, got some saws hanging there, and got the brace and bits. These are some holders I built a long time ago for the planes, but now they're kind of, most of the planes at least, are finding their home underneath the bench. A couple of these I use, and I'm trying to use, that I should say. I'm learning. Especially that Emmerich back there, that joiner plane. That's a sweetheart. And this little Emmerich block plane is definitely nice. But learning. Just going to pan around the shop quick. Constantly moving things, but I think I'm getting closer to a workable plan. A couple of themes. We have a lot of twos in here. We have 2 table saws, not on purpose. Explain later. We got 2 drill presses, one there, one here. I'll explain that now. This old vintage Craftsman drill press I found on Craigslist for 25 bucks. And the quill spring was broke, so the quill wouldn't return. The guy thought it was junk. All it needed was to tension this knob a little bit. The 2 bandsaws, the 18-inch bandsaw right here is a Craftsman, not the best quality saw in the world by any means, but it was a Craigslist find for $200, and you know, it's kind of a beast. We've got the Delta 14-inch here, and we use the Carter stabilizer, which I like. So basically this saw stays with an 1/8 inch blade in it, just for doing more scroll saw type stuff, and this one more resaw type stuff. Dust collection. You know, we're in the basement, so you see straight ahead there's a beam that runs the length of the house up there. So in order to get the dust collection to the other side of the shop, we went above the beam. So basically this is the main header. I'm standing farthest away from the dust collector, which is back there. It is a Craftsman dust collector. I got a scratch and dent. Basically I bought it for 50 cents on the dollar because the base was kind of bent up on it. Pretty easy to remedy. I just emptied it the other day, but I see it's a quarter of the way full again. I did buy a Penn State filter for it, bolted right on. So I have the main header up in the rafters. Comes here underneath the ductwork, and then the first major split we have dust collection going down to the one of the table saw here. Used to have the chop saw straight ahead, so I have an open port there, and then one to the drum sander over here. And if I turn around, we also have a split going down to the joiner and over to the bandsaws. And the router table is kind of near and dear to me, and I hate to see it stored in the corner like this, but it's kind of my new shop plan. Keep things out of the way. Today I was able to upgrade my Ultra Inker Ultra jig to a LS jig just through a series of trades, so that was very cool. You can see about the router table on my blogs. Not too long ago I had all my major dust producing tools right in this area here of the shop, and I've since switched that around so I can step back a little bit. So I got a little more room. I like walking into the shop into a little bit more open area. It's not a huge shop, so it's hard to find an open space. That's again why the router table's in the corner. It's also why these tools are tucked back against the wall. They are usable. I pull them out. They're very accessible, but they're not as accessible as they were when they were in the middle of the shop. But I have my workbench here, which also doubles as an outfeed table for one of the table saws. It's a new concept for me, and I'm liking it so far. The workbench itself is on wheels, which can be locked down, but it moves very easily. And being in the middle of the shop, I can work off both sides of it, and I really like that. I know I don't have anything fancy underneath it at this point. Tell you a quick story. I'm not that big on drawers and doors. Weird as that sounds, I kind of like the open, more visual, more of the lean aspect of the tools, and over the years you'll see more progression on the visual aspect of the workshop. That's the basis I work off of. At any rate, we'll keep moving. 2 table saws. This is the original. It's an old Craftsman, you know, tweaked it out. Got the router table built in, dust collection. Worked fine until it broke. I thought the height adjustment stopped working. As it turns out, it was just a snap ring that broke, and you know, it was a 59-cent fix. But in the meantime, I bought another one, and I did get a good deal on it through, I don't know, coupons, whatever, at Sears. And it's an okay saw. You guys have read the reviews on this thing. It's the same as the Rigid and some of those others. It's got a riving knife, which is nice. This is the sanding area. Built a sanding table, downdraft table. It's got a series of filters in here. There's filtreats underneath those woven filters, and furnace blower below. I think that's probably a Woodsmith plant or something. Works very well. It's a sanding board that hangs on front, and you lay that on top of the downdraft table. You can flip it over. There's other grits on the other side. You can sand anything flat with that. Highly recommend it for those who haven't done it. It's just a sheet of MDF with self-adhesive paper on it. Got the Porter cable finishing sander mounted in the inner tube. I think that's a Doug Stowe idea. I like it, works well. Also use self-adhesive on these, and it's a real time saver. Here's the cupboard theory. Anything I put in a cupboard, I try not to use very often. I can never remember what's in there, so this is mostly junk. And the drum sander's over here too, as you guys have seen my other posts. This is a $50 Craigslist find for the drum sander and a free radial arm saw, again Craigslist. And lathe is over here. This was a wood trade. Met a gentleman, was buying some wood from me and said he had a lathe. Gave him a couple extra boards, and he gave me this. It's a record. It was brand new. It was 10 years old, but it was brand new. And it's not a, you know, high-end lathe or anything, but I'm learning, and it does a job. Actually, the base it's on was my first post on Lumberjacks. It's Bowling Lane. I think it was probably my first concentrated effort on re-gluing the bowling lane. It turned out pretty nice, and that's kind of where I got hooked. This is also bowling lane under my bench grinder. This is not re-glued. This is original bowling lane, so you'll see the gaps and why one would want to tear it apart and redo it. It's a slow speed grinder, at least, or variable speed grinder. It's got the Veritas tool rest on it, and kind of helped me learn how to grind a bevel on a tool. And then, if you watch my blogs, you'll see you got the overhead clamp rack is here. To get you back in perspective, we're back kind of in this walking in part of the shop. If you walk up, this is the clamp rack, and you can look up my previous blog entry on that to see how it works. If I release this lever, it'll flip down and I can clamp stuff. Speaking of clamps, there's clamps everywhere in the ceiling. There's clamps there. Here's homemade pegboard. This is the boxed part of the I-beam that holds up the house. I just used pegboard as a template and drilled holes along there to hang stuff on that. And then there's more clamps. The air tools. You can buy cheap Harbor Freight fittings and hang them from the ceiling, which is pretty efficient. It's my tool cart. It's made out of mostly out of hardwood flooring, almost completely out of hardwood flooring, except for the cabinetry, which is made out of bamboo plywood and some hardboard for the drawer slides. So, I'm sure I missed a bunch of stuff. This is my original workbench right here. This was when it was just a workshop, not a wood shop, and it was just built out of dimensional lumber. And then I figured out I kind of wanted to do woodworking, so now it's just basically a counter space with stuff under it. Appreciate the time, and appreciate you keeping up with the changes, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.